how much home they qualify for, what would you suggest that they do?
They have to look at their finances.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that are buying properties, they pay rent.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to figure out how much money can they afford.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be able to continue to buy food, put gas in their car, and everything.
Right. So that's one of the things you would suggest, that they come up with a checklist of what the finances are, what their monthly budget is. And would you advise them to get pre-qualified first before they even
They have to get pre-qualified first. That's part of the pre-qualification process, is having your credit checked. You have to look at your bank account. You have to be able to pay for some expenses. That's going to be part of the transaction. You must have at least 20% in the bank, at least, of what. So say you're trying to qualify to get a property, say 100,000, you must have at least 10, 15, 20,000 in the bank.
Okay.
And then it depends also on the program that you're qualified for. If you're a first-time home buyer, you might get away with much less than that.
Right. Okay. So presuming all that's fine, we've already been pre-qualified and everything checks out, what is the procedure? What's the next step? Tell us about what you do and how that would be the next step, is to find a realtor. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, what I do is I'm the broker owner for Gold Star Realty and Management Inc. I sell properties. I sell you anything, right, Brian? I'll sell you a piece of zinc. But I run my own real estate company. And one of the things is I meet buyers almost every day. I meet buyers, I meet sellers, I meet investors, I meet renters, I meet every kind of people that is interested in it. The first question I ask them is, how serious are you? I mean, have you given it any thought? Moving from a rental apartment to owning a property is a lot of responsibilities. Do you want to take on the responsibility of taking care of your exterior, meaning cut your grass? Do you want to take care of the interior? You can't call a service repair guy when you buy a house because you own it. So now it's a added responsibility, and a lot of people aren't ready for that kind of thing. Bye, Brian. So a lot of people aren't ready for that sometimes, so we have to kind of work through it and see, okay, are you ready? Are you serious? What's the next step? And then I say, okay, let's go get you pre-qualified. So they go out, they talk to a mortgage broker, a lender, or whoever they're getting the money from, and they say, okay, they'll give them a letter. It's called a pre-qual letter, or sometimes they'll get a qualified letter. It depends on what their credit is, how much money they have in the bank, what their job situation is, and all of that. So that's just a couple of the steps that you have to follow when you're doing that. The other thing is you don't have to, you don't have to hire a real estate agent. I recommend people to do that because at least you'll have someone that's licensed, that knows the laws, and that can legally represent you to do the transaction. A lot of people say, no, I don't need a realtor. I could go directly to the owner and negotiate the deal myself. And I would say wrong, because they don't realize that the seller is loyal to himself or herself. The seller is not looking out for the buyer. They're not going to disclose certain information. So I always tell people, if you're going to buy a house, get a licensed agent. Get an agent. If you're not comfortable with the first one that you meet, go for the second one and keep going until you find one that you're compatible with, that you like, that you have a connection with, and that you trust. Because you must trust that person. Remember, buying a house is the single most important asset that someone has. The next is their car.
Absolutely.
Right, so there's things that you have to think about, things that you have to do, and things that you have to be aware of. And I also tell people, learn, research. Do your homework. Don't depend on the realtor, okay, to have all the answers. Because we're all humans. We miss things.
Right.
You yourself go out there, get some information, educate yourself, be knowledgeable, and know what you're looking for. So that's
absolutely. And especially if it's a client that has children, and the school district also comes in play, so they also have to do their homework. They also have to do their homework to see.
I think we're having a little technical difficulties. The engineer.
There's a little buzzing.
Yeah, it's a little buzzing noise.
That's okay. When you're live, these things
It's a learning curve. It's a learning curve.
We also have no music today, and that's okay too. We just go with the flow sometimes. So, okay, that's from a buyer's point of view, but from a seller's point of view now, how do you?
There's quite a few more things with a buyer. It's not just getting the loan in place, and it's not just hiring the agent. There's also a lot of responsibility too on the buyer, because you have inspections that you have to do. You have to get a survey done. You have to get an appraisal done. There's quite a few steps to it in getting it. A lot of times people say, why does it take so long when I found the property for the property to close? Close meaning that you have completed the transaction. Right. The person that's selling the house has gotten their money. You have paid your money and you've got the keys in your hands. But it's a long process between finding the property, putting in the contract, winning the contract, and getting all the inspections and everything together, get your loan in place and everything before you could close.
Right.
And even after closing, there's even a lot more things that you have to do. A lot of people don't realize that when you're buying a house, you simply cannot go out and purchase anything on your credit card. You cannot go out and make a huge purchase.
Right.
I've had a situation where there was a doctor, and you would think that the doctor would have more sense. And he was buying a house, and he's ready to close like tomorrow. I'll just use an example. Like tomorrow is ready to close.
Right.
And he goes out like 2 days before and he purchases a BMW. And he didn't close.
Yeah.
Now his whole family is flown because he was from up north, flown down. They're in a hotel. There's a tractor trailer park with all of his belongings.
Ready to move in.
Right. And he has to report to work like in 3 days.
Wow.
At the hospital. There is no house.
So see, that's a very important point.
Yeah.
So tell us why that's important. Why is it important not to go make that big purchase before you close?
Because it affects your credit score. Exactly. It affects your debt ratio. So I tell people, yes, sir?
No, just talk.
Yeah. So I tell people that, you can't go out and do any major purchases. You can't go out and do anything. You must just keep it consistent and wait. And even after you wait, you close today. Don't go out within the next 2 or 3 days and make a huge purchase, because they re-verify. What they call re-verify, meaning they go out, the lenders or whoever loaned you the money is going to go out and say, okay, all right, what are these guys doing? Because remember, put yourself in the bank's or the lender's position.
That's a lot of money for them to give out. If they want to know how they're gonna be getting paid. So
I can't hear you.
okay. So I think we have a caller calling in, maybe. But so yes, continue with that point.
Listening audience, that today is our birthday girl in the studio. Beverly is having her birthday today. She want to keep it a secret, but hey, no secret in this family. We have a realtor, licensed professional realtor in the house today, Miss Pauline, and we're back in the studios with Pauline and Beverly.
Okay, welcome back. And Pauline, we were just talking about when you're ready to buy the home, why it's important not to make a big purchase just before you buy the home. So just want to make sure that our listeners were clear on what you said.
Or immediately after you purchase the home, because there are certain criteria that needs to be maintained and fulfilled. One of the questions that a potential buyer should ask themselves, are they going to stay in the house 3 to 5 years? Are they really ready for the responsibility, and can they afford the house?
Right. So
can they afford it?
So they need to be thinking long term.
Right.
Right.
Are their finances organized? Do they have their finances in place? Because there's a certain little certain little criteria that needs to be done, and it's just basic. Like they must have filed taxes for the past 2 years.
Right.
they must be employed without interruption for the past 2 years, same company. There are certain situations where you could, switch companies, but it all depends on how it's done and when it was done.
Right.
The thing is, you can't have any lapse within that 24-month period in employment. The credit, of course, plays a major part of getting qualified, and 2 months pay stubs, 2 months bank statements. Your bank has to show that you are paying rents and that you're meeting your monthly debts on time. You can't have any lates or any checks bouncing off the walls or anything like that. In other words, your finances need to be in order when you go to try to get pre-qualified.
Right. Okay. All right. So the buyer needs to have all those things ready before they even think about it. Now, once they get qualified, when they find the house, walk them through that step. What do they do at that point, as in terms of inspection, all the inspections that they will need to get done?
Once they get qualified and they're capable, they have money in the bank, because there's going to be expenses. They also have to show that they have enough money in the bank once you close on the property that you can continue to make payments. On the mortgage, you have to have money for the insurance, because you are going to be required to have property insurance.
Right.
And other things that you need, the upkeep of the property, HOA fees if you have HOA. So there are quite a few things between getting qualified and actually purchasing the home, finding the property.
Okay. All right. And we get to that point now, and the inspections are being done. What's the length of time typically that this takes for all the inspections to get done before you actually get to closing? Because some people may be in a situation where they're looking to buy a house and move in like within a month. Is that possible?
It's very possible that you could do it within 10 days, 15 days. A cash buyer, you could go out and buy a house like today and close on it like within 24 hours and move in. A cash buyer. With a lending company, the fastest I've ever seen a lender approve someone, and that person has to be in good standing. That person has to have the finances, have to have the good credit, have to have the job, he has to be clean. And I've seen lenders close within 10 to 15 days. That's the earliest I've ever seen it. Now, keep in mind when you go on a contract, there's a contract, and it takes maybe 2 days, 3 days, could be the same day, for the buyer to extend the offer, for the seller to accept the offer. Now we have a contract. It's called an executed contract. The contract is ready to go. We send that contract over to the lender, whoever the lender is, whether it's a mortgage broker, a bank, or whoever you choose to lend you the money that you're applying for the money for. And then they start working. Then we have to do, the lender is going to send out for an appraisal. Now, what the appraiser does, he looks for the value of the house. For instance, if you're buying the house, contracted to purchase the house for $100,000, the appraiser has to go out and figure out if the house or property is worth $100,000. If it's worth less than $100,000 that you contracted for, now you have to go back to the negotiation table. So sometimes when people say, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's taken so long. It's been like almost 2 months and I haven't closed on my property yet. Yeah, there's certain things, because no two transactions, no two sales are ever the same. They're always different.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, so once again, reminding callers, you can call in and speak to Ms. Pauline Jaggon-Cameron at 407-894-1680. She's here ready to answer your questions. If you're thinking about buying a home or if you're thinking of selling your home, please feel free to call in. She is here ready to take your call. Now, Pauline, I want to ask you real quickly, if someone's thinking of purchasing something as an investment property, what would be your advice on that?
Purchasing investment property comes with a different criteria. It's a different criteria for purchasing an investment property. You're in a different area compared to purchasing a home
to live in.
That's going to be your primary residence.
Right.
When you go into investment properties, the lending terms have changed. Whereas, say, a first-time home buyer A first-time home buyer, sometimes it depends on who you go to get the money or what programs they're running, could find you a lender that will be willing to lend you 97% of the purchase price of the property. Sometimes you could get away with 100%. I don't think it's 100% anymore. But, the lower the percentage is, the less you have to come out of pocket with as a first-time home buyer. Mm-hmm. There's certain things that a lender could get you to. He could get you down payment assistance. He could get you bond money. He could get you money that will help you towards your closing. But you could only use it once. That's why it's called a first-time home buyer.
Right.
So when you're buying an investment property, that's a difference between it. Now you have to come up with sometimes 25% of the purchase price. So if it's $100,000, you have to have at least 25% cash, 30%. 25,000 cash, 30,000 cash, 40,000 cash, and that's just the deposit on the property. Mm-hmm. So everything changes. Mm-hmm. When you go in as an investor, it changes. It's a whole different thing.
Right. And do you know how that works? How does the investment property work? So, you're not going to live in it, but is there like a turnover time? Like, can you actually buy it now and sell it back in 2 weeks? Or is there like a limit as to how you can
It all depends.
sell it?
It all depends.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on how, like I said, there's no formula in purchasing an investment property. Mm-hmm. You could have someone that you exchange money, whether it's hard money, cash, or whatever it is, and you could what they call a quit claim deed. Mm-hmm. If it's a quit claim deed that you get, meaning that if you were to buy something from me today and they give you a quit claim deed and you take it downtown and you get it recorded, you could sell that house whenever you want to. Mm-hmm. However, if you're using funding from a different source to purchase a property, there are certain things that you cannot do. Sometimes it's a 60-day, 90-day wait, a 30-day wait. It all depends and the terms that you're purchasing the property under.
Right. Okay. All right. Now, you mentioned something about different programs for first-time buyers, and they can get as much as 90% financing?
Yep. You could get 2% or 3% down. Mm-hmm. So, and you could get help. Down payment money, money that you could use for your closing costs, and all of that. There's the county, Orange County has a program. The city of Orlando has a program, and the state has programs. Mm-hmm. So you have, like I said, when you're buying a property, you have to do some research yourself. You can't depend on the agent or the realtor to help you. You have to kind of go in and dig into it. And, the internet is a wonderful tool. You could go on there and educate yourself so you know what you could get and what you can't get and what kind of programs is out there for you. Mm-hmm. There's all different kinds of loans too. There's conventional, there's an FHA, there's a VA, if you're retired or you're still active with the military, there's all different kinds of stuff out there. Mm-hmm. So I usually tell people, go see a lender or a mortgage broker because they're the one that has the program. They're going to structure that loan for you depending on your criteria or what you qualify under.
Right. Okay. So what exactly do you do as a broker for? I'm just coming off the street, coming to you. What exactly will you do for me coming in looking for a home to buy?
Well, the first questions I would ask you is, have you been employed without interruption for the past 2 years? Mm-hmm. Have you filed your taxes for the past 2 years? Mm-hmm. What do you think your credit score is? And how much?
Welcome back. Welcome back. We're here with Pauline Jaggon-Cameron, broker in the Orlando area. Please give a call in to talk to her. She can answer any questions that you have regarding purchasing a home or selling a home. The number to call in, 407-894-1680. Welcome back, Pauline.
Thank you. Let me just say, for anyone listening that wants to get in touch with me, my direct number is 407-923-0525. You could email me at goldstarusa1@gmail.com. My website is currently down. It is under construction. We're doing some stuff, so it should be back online in like about 2 weeks. But the website is gsrorlando.com. GSR like Gold Star Realty Orlando.com. So we should be back in about 2 weeks with a new and improved website. I'm having some major job done on it. But getting back to buying, a lot of people they don't even have a clue sometimes of the process of buying a house. Mm-hmm. there's so many different programs, like I was talking about, so many different loans, so many different areas that you go into in securing a loan. There's like a FHA loan where the credit score could be as low as 580, which is unheard of. There's a FHA 203K loan, which allows you, if, say, it's a distressed property needs like a new kitchen, new bathroom, or it needs some fixing, it's called a FHA 203K loan, where they loan you the money to buy the property and loan you the money to fix the property. There's also like home path loans. There's a Florida bond down payment assistance where you could get up to $10,000 with a 640 credit score. You know, usually it was like 680, and it's there, $10,000. That it's a bond money. That's almost like I call free money. There is a FHA Back to Work program, which a borrower or somebody that had a short sale or foreclosure may still qualify for a loan to, you know, buy a new property. You know, a lot of people lost their properties when the Depression hit. Right. A lot of people went into foreclosure. A lot of people had to short sale. So there's hope for these people that lost their homes, you know. If they want to go back into it, there's the FHA. So, you know, call your mortgage broker or your lending institution. There's a jumbo loan, like you were asking me about investors. Say an investor wants to buy properties. There's jumbo loans out there that you could use, and you have to pay it back like within 3 to 5 years with the terms and conditions. Of course, the interest rate's going to be a little bit higher. Now, keep in mind, people, I am not a licensed mortgage broker. I am a licensed real estate broker in Florida. And my office is right here in Central Florida. It's at 7345 West Sand Lake Road. There's also conventional loans. Conventional loans as low as 5% down with a 620 credit score. So that's also something good. That's an excellent program right there. There's VA loans like I was talking to you about, where you could get 100% financing because you have to have a military background and you could only use your VA program, I think, once. There's what we call USDA loans, like somebody who wants to buy something way out in the boonies, you know, out in the country. It's called a USDA loan, and it could qualify for 100% financing. There's portfolio loans, like I was telling you about with the investors, 35% minimum down payment. So when you get into investment, you have to have some money. Yeah. That's what I tell people. You have to have some money to work with. Absolutely. So I hope I've helped you, you know, in talking about when you're buying a home. Do you have any more questions?
Sure. Now, I want to talk a little bit about short sale transactions. I know you're not an attorney or real estate broker, but what advice would you give to someone looking to do a short sale?
A short sale is it's a how do I put it? It came about when the Depression hit, because a lot of these properties, people were buying them at really high prices, and then the value wasn't in there anymore. So say you bought the property for, say, $500,000, and now your property can only be appraised at $250,000. So half the value has gone. Right. You can't sell it, because if you sell it, you're still going to hold $250,000 on the property because the value is only $250,000. So what happens was the lenders, the banks, you know, they came up with this thing and they said, okay, what can we do to help these people? Because remember, you also pay PMI insurance, which guarantees, you know, things. So you go to your lender, whoever your lender is, Bank of America being one of the bigger ones, Chase, and, you know, all the people that held billions of dollars in loans for consumers like yourself and myself. And you go to them, or you have a negotiator try to negotiate for you. Approach them and you say, hey, listen, I can't afford to pay anymore. I've lost my job. I got sick. I really can't see the value of my paying a big $5,000 a month for a house that's only worth $250,000, but when I bought it was $500,000. And they will work with you. Now, there's a couple things you could do with a short sale. There's options instead of foreclosure, and I wanted to touch on that briefly. There's options. Keep in mind, I'm not an attorney, okay? I'm just a real estate broker. But there's a couple options that you could get instead of losing your home. You could short sale it, which when you short sale your home, it allows you, I think it's a year or two, that you could go back and purchase another piece of property. When you foreclose on your property, it's 7 years before you qualify to purchase again. Right. You could also hand over the deed to the lender if they'll take it. You say, listen, I don't want this house anymore. It's not worth the value. I can't afford it. And I don't want to foreclose. I don't want a short sale. I just want to give you back your property.
And
I just want to give it back to you.
But how does that work?
It's a
though?
deed in lieu. What they do is they send you the paperwork, you fill it out, you sign it, you get it notarized, you send it off to the lender, and voila bing.
And how does that affect your
you're
credit?
You're not the owner anymore.
Is it on your credit for the same time as with a foreclosure? Or
No. A deed in lieu is you're giving it back to them. You're giving it back to them. It's going to show up on your credit somehow because remember now, you're in trouble. So either you missed a couple of payments or you couldn't afford it or something, but it's already on your credit. But it's not going to be there for 7 years, like a foreclosure. So a lot of times a short sale will work. Now, there's some cautions with short sale. There's what we call deficiency judgment, where is the difference between the 250 and the 500, that 250,000, that's a loss somewhere in that, I call it the dark hole. Somebody's going to be responsible for it.
Right.
Now, the bank could say, hey, we're just going to count it off at a loss. And they will just write it off and say, let you go free and clear. They won't come after you. Some of them will squeeze you. They'll say, hey, guess what? We're going to come after you with a deficiency judgment. We won't waive it. So it's all about how you negotiate. It's all about how you present yourself. It's all about how you show hardship. Because remember, when you bought the property, they loaned you the money to buy the property. So
for something like this, it would be advisable to go in with an attorney to make sure you understand all the ramifications and what you're going to be responsible for instead of just going it alone. Because the average person does not know.
The attorneys are the ones that can negotiate a short sale for you, okay? Because the bank has their people that does it, but also you have qualified people out there that can help you. It's documents that needs to be filled out.
Right.
Okay, let's put it this way: it's documents that they're going to send you a whole big package of documents, but you're going to need help in filling it out. So if you don't have the money to hire an attorney, okay, you could go to, sometimes a title company will help you because a title company is almost like an attorney because they close on your houses. And if they negotiate short sales, they could help you out with it. So there's different things, different things that you have to do. Keep in mind also that it's going to affect your taxes. So you have to talk to a CPA and figure out if you short sell it, once you have short sell it, that's also a tax liability.
You're listening to Let's Talk It Up with Beverly and Miss Pauline, and I'm here in the little control tower. This is Noel. We're going to play a little commercial for one of our sponsors. We have a event coming up next
Oil
week.
Ministries Life Builders presents a gospel extravaganza featuring George Banton, Natalie Evans, Joan Myers, and more. Saturday, April 25th, 2015 at 7 p.m. at the Fresh Oil Ministries Church of God, 8301 Silver Star Road, Orlando, Florida. Tickets, adults $20, children under 12, $10. Tickets at the gate, $25 for adults and children under 12, $15. Come and be blessed. You don't want to miss it.
And we're back with Miss Pauline and Beverly in the studios. Phone numbers 407-894-1680.
Okay, welcome back, listeners. So we're speaking to Pauline Jaggon-Cameron. Once again, you can call in 407-894-1680. And Pauline was just telling us a little bit about short sale transactions. Now, we just heard from the seller's point of view. Now we want to hear on the other side of the fence from the buyer's point of view.
Let me say, Bev, I get excited when a buyer buys a short sale property. He wins. He wins.
Sure.
He's winning. The seller is losing. The seller has lost.
Yes.
The lender has lost. But the buyer is the one that's winning because in real estate, we always want to buy low and sell high.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So when you have to sell low and the buyer is buying low, who do you think is a winner? It's always going to be the buyer.
Right.
So I have to say, if there's any buyers out there, I know they get scared and say, oh my gosh, we have to wait like 6 months. I've heard horror stories of people waiting 18 months to get a short sale approval. Now, keep in mind also, a short sale is a 50-50. There is no guarantee that if you put an offer in on a short sale property that you're going to get it.
Right.
Okay, there's no guarantee in life anyway. You could put an offer on a regular price property or a bank REO property. There's no guarantee you're going to get it. So if you are willing to just be, just be quiet and just prolong and just, work with the program.
All right, let it take its course. Give it time.
Endure. That's the word I was looking for. If you're willing to just endure the longevity of waiting until you get the approval, you're going to win. Buyers always win in a short sale.
Right. So if I see a short sale property that I'm interested in, the first thing would be to contact a broker about the property.
Mm-hmm. I always say to you, if you're the buyer, it doesn't cost you anything. Get a licensed realtor to represent you. Okay? Because that's what we're licensed for. We know our area. We know it's our job. Just get a realtor to help you.
Right.
To represent you, to guide you, to show you the property and to, show you certain things that you can and you cannot do and things like that. I always recommend you get a licensed professional to help you.
Absolutely.
In your transaction.
Absolutely. Okay. So is there anything else you want to share with us about your business? I know you're located on Sand Lake Road, 7345 West Sand Lake Road, and that's in Orlando. And your website is under construction.
Yeah,
it's going to be ready
I'm getting it totally. I'm getting it totally redone. It's just taking a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but we're getting there. Another week or two, and we'll be back. I've been doing this since 2001. I've been a broker, an agent for 2 years, and then I became my own broker. I had two companies, Florida All Star, which went out of business because I closed it down for some personal reasons, and then I reopened on a Gold Star Realty. So I have been in Central Florida for a long time. I do know the neighborhoods. I do know which areas, the schools, and all of that.
Right.
And that's another thing, too. When you're buying a property and you have small children, a lot of people want to get into the area for good schools. But the good school zone areas, they carry a hefty price. They're not cheap.
Right.
So sometimes, a buyer will come and it goes like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want that. I must absolutely have this. I must have like a football stadium in my backyard and everything. And sometimes I have to gently say to them, you have to be realistic. A first-time buyer, you're not going to get your dream home.
Right.
I hardly ever see that happening. You have to be able to sort of
start from somewhere.
Yeah, start from somewhere and say, okay, compromise. Okay, I can't have granite countertops, but if I buy this property, maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, I can put granite countertops in. So you have to look beyond. You have to look at what improvements I could give a property to make it become my dream home.
Right.
So.
I think another thing people overlook, too, is the homeowners association fees that's associated with these properties. They don't usually take that into consideration. And once you get in the home, it's like a big shock. You have to pay $1,000 a month for homeowners fee.
Yep.
So
yeah, once again, I encourage buyers, work with a licensed professional, ask questions, educate yourself. Okay, look at your finances and figure out, okay, how much can I afford, and all of that. And these you need to be honest with the realtor when you sit down and talk to him. And like I said, sometimes we're all humans. You may not like me, I may not like you. Move on. There's a lot. I think it's the last count of over 10,000 licensed realtors in Central Florida. I'm sure you could find one that you could work with.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, well, that was some valuable information that you told us about. Thank you so much for sharing that. And is there anything else you want to share with us about anything else that people need? Any requirements? I know you were talking about the debt to income ratio, and also the employment, at least 2 years.
Right,
They're
2
looking
years.
for. Right.
Yeah, 2 years, 2. I always tell people 2, like 2 years tax record, 2 months pay stub, 2 years on the job, 2 months bank statements. So I always think of 2, 2 months, 2 years. You have to be uninterrupted.
Right.
Now, we haven't touched on selling a home. And a lot of time people are selling their homes and they also are not realistic, because remember, your home is like a place of peace. Your value is in your home. So a lot of times when people are selling their homes, I have to be very gentle when I talk to them about selling their homes, because they get emotionally attached to it.
Right.
And, you can't say anything negative you know, you have to say something nice. So I usually try to give them a list and say, okay, here's something you have to do. Make sure that your grounds is manicured. You know, you don't want to be selling your house and then you have weeds growing all over the garden.
You have to have curb appeal.
Right.
Otherwise, that's going to turn people off.
Paint the house if possible. Clean it up. Don't leave a lot of things, you know, lying around. Don't leave your valuables out. Get it organized. Get it clean. Get your garage, you know, cleaned up. You know, get rid of all the junk if you can. Fix whatever needs to be fixing. Because the worst thing is you're going to put your house on the market and your house is not marketable. You're going to be disappointed and you're not going to get the offer that you want. When you could do just a few things around the house, you know, put some new shrubs in. You know, put some plants in. When you're showing the house, do some hair freshener. Go to the dollar store. Get something that smells like vanilla or something and, you know, put them all over your property. You know, enhance your house. Make it that it's attractive. Make it smell good. Make it look good, you know, so that the other person that's coming in is going to fall in love with it. And a lot of time we have sellers that are not realistic. They'll say, well, I've lived here for 20 years and this is how it is and I'm not doing nothing, you know, I'm not going to do it. And it's so disappointing because you could just do a couple little things just to get the house marketable. Yeah, so
right, because people have to actually see themselves living there.
Right. People have to actually see themselves, visualize themselves living there.
Right.
You're listening to WOKB Radio.
We were in the middle of something and I could not, but I'm glad I have the opportunity to talk to you guys, and I just want to say, keep going, man. Second week on the air, and you guys are doing a good job.
Thank you very much. Listen, today is Beverly's birthday. Can you surprise her with a happy birthday?
Well, you know, Beverly doesn't look like she's over 18, so you might have to come and see me. You know, you might get some charges. Like, she's not there yet, so I want to say congratulations on achieving a milestone. You know, any time you get a birthday, it's a blessing.
Well, you know, when people have pictures on the wall, I have her birth certificate on my wall.
Well, Beverly, just make sure Noel does the right thing, treats you good, and enjoy the birthday. Not just today, but I when I turned a certain age, and I made sure I celebrated the whole year.
Sure.
You know, we know we're looking forward to the top of the hill, but the view is great from the top. Trust me.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, man. Enjoy, and congrats. You know.
Thank you.
So, Attorney Golding, you have anything to say about the diaspora? I think you have an event coming up next week, or is it something like that?
Oh, absolutely. We're having our town hall forum next Friday, April 24th, from 7 to 10 p.m. to be held at the Soarway Event and Conference Center. That's on Silver Star Road, 6394 Silver Star Road in Orlando. And, of course, the topics we're going to be discussing, public safety in Jamaica and suggested solutions from the diaspora, and also the Jamaica Diaspora Conference. But most important, I'm going to have two participants presenting. I'll have the Assistant Commissioner of Police from Jamaica, Bishop Dr. Gary Welch, a well-learned person, can update us on what's going on the ground in Jamaica in terms of public safety as it relates to policing and other issues. We also have the Deputy Consul General of Jamaica, Mr. Dale Jones, who will also be here as one for panelists. We're encouraging everyone to come out. This is your chance now. You know, Noel, we're on the street a lot. We talk to a lot of people, and people complain. They say they have ideas. They have suggestions. This is your chance to come out and actually hear what's happening on the ground in Jamaica, and actually make your suggestions, and also help us to see if we can put together some solutions to affect positive change with public safety in Jamaica. Because guess what? All of us love to go home. We want to feel safe when we're there. We want to know that we can live, work, and play in Jamaica and feel like we are where we are now. So it's an opportunity for you to contribute on a positive tip. And instead of just sitting on the veranda, now it's time to get off the veranda and join the conversation.
Yes. And what time was that event again, Wayne?
It's going to be this coming Friday, April 24th, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So you should be able to get there after work or whatever. You know, we'll have some refreshments, But the most important thing, you'll get to meet people who are on the ground in Jamaica working in the system. And if you have your suggestions and your solutions, they're right there to listen, and they're going to give you factual information. That's the key. Factual, correct information.
Awesome. Attorney Wayne, I tell you, I'm being evicted here by Jammin's Radio. They got some stuff lined up here, man. I'm already on my feet. Listen, thank you so much for calling in. We look forward to that event. I will be there, I promise you. I don't know if Miss Pauline in our studios or Professional Real Estate has anything to say before she goes.
I just want to say, Bev and Noel, thank you very much for having me on your show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope I've been, help you guys answer some questions.
Thank you so much for coming.
And thank you once again. My direct number is 407-923-0525. Gold Star Realty, Pauline Cameron, broker. Bye.